Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Car Chat podcast. I'm Sam Moores, and with me today I have Jan Kalmar. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi. Welcome. Can you tell the audience a little bit about sort of a short summary of who you are and what you do?
I can. I'm Jan Kalmar, as you said, 50 years of age, living in Denmark, and a thorough petrolhead, I think is the best way. I've been working with petrol smelling machinery since I was 10, and I think it's the only thing I do quite well.
Nice. So where did this all begin? You know, have you been tinkering with cars and driving cars since a sort of young age, or?
Yeah, I think a lot of people refer to the best day of their life when they got a child or when they got married, and I think it was the day I got my driver's license. Uh, so uh, so now it's just been like I was extremely good at taking things apart when I was a kid. I was not so good to put them back together, but that's at least half the job. And then I as I said, just a super petrol head and love cars and love let's say machinery and
Hmm.
small machines, big machines. Hate electronics, don't understand it. But so it started with me sitting at home at my parents' kitchen table drawing cars, and I don't see myself as a designer in any way or form. I don't see myself as I don't have a mechanical engineering education. So I think the best way is to say a generalist who understands a little bit of technical stuff, who knows how to go sideways with 200 mile an hour and and know what I want and is extremely persistent, which I think is maybe the key to doing such a big package, which it is to do a car.
Yeah. And where did this journey of starting to build cars, like how did that sort of come about? How did you end up, starting to do that?
I built a Caterham myself,
Hmm.
um, or a similar thing to a Caterham, but anyway, Super 7, because I couldn't afford to build a finished race car. So I said, okay, I buy bit by bit. Met an English guy who were doing these kits, and then I read some regulations in Denmark for track racing, and they had this formula where it was calculated horsepower, where they didn't take into consideration high RPMs. So they were referring to car engines. And then I realized, but if you fit a motorbike engine into a Caterham, you actually have a good package and you have a sequential gearbox. So I took a fire blade and turned it 90 degree, put a prop shaft on the sprocket where the chain drive is, and had the most amazing package, 900 cc, but 12,000 RPMs. And with 900 cc, you calculated the horsepower and it was like 67 horsepower. So only needed to weigh compared to 67 because we had this weight power ratio.
Yeah.
And I think I won my first 2 seasons. I won all races that I finished. Yeah, so that was basically it. And then I went into more endurance racing and I've done, I don't know, 7 or 8 24-hour races. Then in 2010 I got an issue with my balance system, so I had to stop driving myself actively. And then I started doing long distance driving. So I hold a few world records. I like to drive, and I drove very far without stopping.
What does that look like? What in terms of like a long distance, is that like an economy type thing or?
No, I at the moment I have the record from the most northern point in Europe to the most southern point in Africa, which is like
Oh, okay.
10,000 miles.
Yeah.
That
Without stopping.
Well, P and fuel,
Yeah.
or fuel and P, but other than that, just keep on going. Three drivers, and did it in less than 9 days. So it's like, I don't know, 1,300 miles per day in average, which is quite a lot in Africa. and then I drove one time around the world, so from Brest in France to Sovatskaya Gavin, so from the Atlantic Sea to the Pacific Ocean, and then took the car from East Russia to Vancouver Island, and then drove from Vancouver Island to Newfoundland.
Oh, wow. What were you
So
doing that in?
that's all done in a Cayenne, and that actually leads me to when you ask me how it all started, because just like with the Super 7, I was like, I couldn't find the car that fitted my personality and my speed
Yeah.
and my, more importantly, wallet. So I had to build it myself, like a famous founder of a South German sports car manufacturer said some 70 years earlier. And it was the same thing when I looked at, I kind of had to reset because racing I couldn't do anymore. So I was like, okay, what do I do? And I was always a big fan of the Dakar rally. So Paris to Dakar was like the big thing for me. It still is fantastic until they moved it to South America and Saudi Arabia, that I don't really understand. But anyway, that's a different story. So I was like looking at what cars would fit that purpose of just driving, and I came down to three cars. One was a VW Transporter T5 or T6
Yeah.
because it has decent power, it has a lot of space, it has all-wheel drive, so you can go over some bumps. And then I don't know if you guys knows about the Dacia Duster, but
Yeah.
that was also because it's light, it's simple, but you need to carry quite a lot of stuff with you, so space became an issue. And then there
Okay.
was the Cayenne, which I knew very well because I've worked so many years with Porsche. So I ended up choosing a Cayenne and took a brand new Cayenne V6 diesel and chopped it to pieces and built a built a built a roll cage in, and built a fridge in, and built what is that, 50-gallon fuel tank or something, like
Oh,
quite a
wow. Okay.
large fuel tank. Um, Built in a little water tank for drinking water and cleaning water and stuff like that, and then set off. And then
Interesting.
that happened just when the war in Syria happened, so it became impossible to go through Syria, and that was why we then turned the map 90 degrees and went east-west instead of north-south, and invented like the distance we drove is the longest you can drive east-west on 1 degree
Oh, okay.
latitude, which
Yeah.
is so we set out to do geographical extremes. So we did one lap of Australia. That record has been beaten because we had to do a detour of 600 miles because of flooding. So there's a Toyota team that has taken that. And then we beat a VW team on the Africa one. And nobody has been stupid enough to do the one east to west that we did, because that was that was worth a film. But anyway, and no, I think nobody will ever beat that record, to be honest, because our dear friend, and that's very ironic, Mr. Putin, he said he wanted to be able to drive a Lada from Vladivostok to Moscow. So instead of building a good car, he made a nice road. And we got onto that road before it was open, and I think we had 1,800 miles of brand new highway that was not yet open.
Whoa.
So we just floored it like there was nobody. We even with like it's so difficult. So we have 1,500 miles range on the car.
Oh, wow. Okay. With the big
And
tank, yeah.
yeah, and we ran into issues that we had to leave it to find fuel station because the road was not yet open. So there was nobody using it, so there were no gasoline stations open.
Yeah.
And it was like we were like in the middle of the night somewhere in central Russia, like, that looks like a new road. Fuck it, let's go for it. So we went onto that road and we just hammered it. And yeah, so it's kind of a combination of adventure and fun, and when you've done endurance racing, it's kind of after a 24-hour race, you promise yourself you will never do it again. Like, this is utterly stupid. So Sunday evening you promise never ever again. Then Monday you recover, and then Tuesday you look on the laptop and see where's the next 24-hour race. And it's a little bit the same thing with these long drives. I go out and have what you call that, presentations of what I do, and there was this school for handicapped kids that called me and said, "Hey, can you come and tell about what you're doing? We have this theme week about never giving up, because there's often you want to give up when you're in the middle of nowhere. Like we have had Boko Haram pointing AK-47s at us, and like we've had it all. So I said, yeah, sure. And then I usually, the starting is that I say it's long time to sit for 9.5 days in a car seat. And that was kind of before the curtain was pulled off. That was kind of my, okay, this is how I will start this one. And the curtain went, and there were 200 people in wheelchairs that has been there for 20 years.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, listen, guys, I wanted to say, but I will say what I wanted to say, and then it was all went, and I didn't know it was I think you call it ALS, like
Yeah.
So they were kind of strapped there, and they would die there. It is, let's say, an adventure. It is something where you several times ask yourself over and over again during the drive, why? But then it's kind of, when I tell you about it here, I'm kind of, okay, it all makes sense suddenly. Like, and at the end of the day, like the shirt we are wearing when we leave this planet has no pockets. So it's a matter of having a good time while we are here. And it is a story to tell. And I could, like, what I have like been arrested on border crossings, and you don't want to know. Like it's just good fun. It's and that's actually maybe showing my passion for cars, because I can only do this with cars. Like I also have a driving adventure travel agency where the motto is we start where the other one stops. So we did 11,000 kilometers in South America with air-cooled 911s, for instance. And there was this big fuss that Porsche went up to a volcano, and it was also fantastic. But we went to the same bloody volcano 2 weeks earlier on 40-year-old cars. We just didn't bring a TV crew and make a big story out of it. So it's like, I mean, who else takes old air-cooled 911 through Atacama Desert or drive over Uyuni? And that's maybe just, yeah.
What's it like, one sort of organizing trips? Like, okay, I want to dial back a little bit to some of the endurance stuff, because I just want to. I feel like you've got some stories. Can you tell me like a particularly memorable moment, or something that maybe unexpected that happened? Because I guess on paper you're like, well, I'm just going to drive down a road for a really far fill up, keep driving, and get to my location. But
do we have 1 hour or 5 hours or 10 hours? This could just go on. Like I think maybe to the nerdy stuff, it's several thousand hours of planning, because there are some roads in Africa, for instance, you can't drive at night because it's too dangerous. There are some border crossings that are not open at certain times because it's too dangerous to drive on the roads, so no need to be open. So to plan and simulate the route is an incredible task, really incredible. And I've designed an Excel sheet that kind of helps me to do this with estimated average times and da 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 da. And we drove from North Cape to the border between Botswana and South Africa, which is 9,000 miles within 9 minutes of our planned time.
Whoa!
So that shows how much you prepare to do that. That was the second attempt, because I'm the biggest animal lover on the planet. I go most holidays to Africa to look at animals. I would never shoot an animal, although I do eat animals. we hit a zebra with 100 mile an hour. And that means game over. Zebra, game over. Car, game over.
Oh, no.
So we had to do 2 attempts to beat the record. The first attempt was DNF. But that trip, Discovery Channel was interested in documenting it. And I said, listen, you need to understand one thing. I only work with authenticity. So if you ask me to do a retake, I will use the F word and say, good luck. So you can be on a fly on a wall, but I will not act. I'm the worst actor on the planet. I will not act. And then they said, no, and started looking at the logistics and said it's too much. On that first attempt, we had to still fly from Istanbul to Tel Aviv because the war was going on in Syria. So it's a 19-hour drive, and we flew the car, and then we parked the car for 19 hours to simulate the same time, because we are crazy, but not that crazy going through Syria back then still. And so the plane got cancelled. I managed to find another cargo plane on the go, got to Turkey. One of the drivers, a South African guy, forgot to be quiet about that. He came via Israel to Sudan, so Sudan cancelled his visa. So we had to drive, 2 of us, 3,600 kilometers, 2,000 miles, to get to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where the driver got out. We then went on the road. Because of all of this, we were 24 hours ahead of schedule, which was what we needed, because to be 10 hours or 5 hours or 9 hours ahead doesn't work, because then the timing doesn't work. But because, and another thing, I calculated it would take 33 hours to go through Egypt. Our fixer in Egypt, who is a wonderful guy called Anis, he said, there's a holiday, so we don't have 33 hours. We need to go faster. And it's like, okay, how much faster? We have 16 hours. I said, that's quite a lot faster to take it from 33 hours to 6. And we had the most amazing run in Egypt, where we saved so much time because we were having police escort the whole way.
Oh, nice.
And they had, but police escort was like with what we call a Taliban taxi, like this Land Cruiser with a duck on the back.
Oh, wow.
They were following us, and they were following us with 100 mile an hour. So the guy was basically just like a flag hanging behind his this machine gun, and they ran out of fuel all the time. But they coordinated it so they had new security coming in all the time. It's unbelievable. We had to visit one gasoline station. They absolutely emptied the gasoline station because they didn't want anything to happen to us, because we went through like Sinai Desert and stuff like that, which is not entirely safe. But the problem was, and that's why I said we can go on with this, you're not allowed to enter Egypt with a 4-wheel drive diesel.
What?
And yes, and the Cayenne is 4-wheel drive and it's a diesel. So we needed to give someone some support to his child education fund.
Yes.
So that the guy who went under the car and looked and said, no, there's no drive shaft in the front, so it's okay. And then I should start the engine. And he said, no, this engine is so smooth, it can only be a petrol stamp. We go. So, but then we picked up the guy in Addis Ababa. We started driving, and we were 24 hours ahead of schedule. Absolutely amazing. And we knew that the distance from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia to Kenya was one of the dodgy roads, because that's where Boko Haram has their prime area.
Yeah.
But then the Chinese, they decided to put a plow in the road and give the Ethiopians a new road, but they did it for 600 kilometers. So where I expected that we would have an average speed of 60 kilometers an hour with goats and everything, we had 20 kilometers an hour.
Oh.
So we lost time. Then approaching the border, in the dark, we have quite a lot of light on the car, and I was driving, and I have Mike, the South African, on my right, and I could see that there was a group of not really friendly people suddenly forming in front of the car. And I see very well at night, so I could see that they were armed. So I said, and we had the German guy sleeping in the back, we thought. So I said to Mike, I think this is game over. This is more adventure than I want. I think we stop and turn around. And Mike said, come on, we're in Africa. We talk to people here. And I said to him, you have big balls. Your continent, you get what you want. So I started driving towards them. 50, 80 meters later, he said, oh, fuck, they're armed. I said, yes, but now it's too late to turn around. Oh, okay. So we had nothing but to stop, and they blocked the road. And then this guy with his AK-47, he put it into the car, and he said something in a language I don't speak. And I said, I'm sorry, I only speak English. And then he asked me and they were clearly Boko Haram, like absolutely no doubt. And he said, what's your problem? And I didn't even have time to reply. Mike replied, no problem. And I've done some safety driving coaching and stuff like that because I've been an instructor for many years. So I kind of chose not to put the car in park, but had my left foot on the brake, my right foot on the gas, and kind of just hold it at 1500 RPM. So there was pressure on the turbo. So if we had to leave, we could leave in a rush. And they didn't know that it was idling at 1500. So I was just holding the car back on the brake. And there were 5 guys in front of the car, but then they had to go onto the car. And then this guy took out his head and he started arguing with the other guys. And that's kind of, I think, the most life-defining moment I've had in my life, because you really felt, okay, now somebody is deciding your destiny. Like, are you going to be on the front page of the news, or are you going to continue here? And the guy put in his head and he said, go. And because I wanted to go so much, he got the B column like in his face, because when I just released the brake and you just heard this boom, and I went, and it was 6 kilometers to the border, and we just raced, and we heard from the guy in the back, the German guy, he was like, oi, 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 because he was not sleeping. He was just lying on the carpet, hoping that nothing would happen. And then we went for it and came down to the border, and then the border post said the border is closed, and he said, where you come from? Do you come? The town is called Mega, and did you come from Mega? And I said, no, we come from Addis Ababa. And he said, you shouldn't be driving here at night. I said, hell yes, we know. We just met these guys. Oh shit. Okay, so we asked him if he could protect us, and he said, I will try, but I'm not sure. That was like not. And he was standing with a gun, or like a rifle, and we're like, oh, this is not a nice place. And we just waited until the sun rose and the border crossing opened, and then we left that beautiful place. And then 5-6 hours later, we hit the zebra, and then we could pack and go. So I was arrested on the border between Russia and Kazakhstan on one trip, because it's just stupid. Like it's so there's so many great stories. And I remember when I called Discovery afterwards and I told them what happened, they were like, "Damn, that would have been good television." Yeah, but so it's like many other things I do. It's like when people ask why, I think the answer is because we can. Same reason why a dog is licking its own balls. Yeah.
So, okay, doing a trip like that and multiple with things like a moment like that, quite sort of, I imagine, like life. You really sort of start to think after something like that. Did you, after that point, did you go, okay, that was a bit close, we're not going to do something quite like that again, or not?
Or not. No, listen, you are, I assume, from a big country, and I know I'm from a small country, and we if we give up when things are difficult, we die. It's like we learn to cooperate, and I'm sorry, this is most likely not what this podcast is about, but my personal opinion, and yes, it is most likely stupid, if these terrorists, they manage to prevent us from doing what we want to do, they win. When they win, we lose.
Yeah.
I am a horrible loser. I might even be a worse winner, but but I hate to lose. And in my opinion, it lose. So it only makes me want to do it more. Would I don't own an expensive watch, but would I run around in Mexico City with an expensive watch? No, I might be considered stupid, but there's no need to.
Yeah.
Like you can ask for it, or you can be unlucky. Do you go out when it is lightning? I do. Could you be hit by lightning? Yes. So
Yeah.
so could a meteorite hit down the roof of your house right now and it would be all over? Yes, but you still live. No, it does not make me. It makes me prepare more. But a lot of people ask me, do you bring weapons on these trips?
Yeah.
Man, I don't. When people ask, what are you most afraid of? Very small animals. So what do you mean? Bacteria. Like imagine to
Oh
sit 9
yeah.
days in a car with diarrhea. Not nice. Okay, what is the next one? Little bit bigger animals, mosquitoes,
Yeah.
malaria. Okay, what about lions? And then, no, they don't do you anything when you're inside a car, so it's very
Yeah.
easy. What about terrorists? Yeah, they are there. Do you bring gun to protect yourself? No, because if I bring a small gun, they bring a bigger gun. If I bring a bigger one than them, again, look at Putin. He's
Yeah.
talking about nuclear bombs. So I don't believe in many things, and one of them is weapons.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that response, definitely. Um, a, a question that popped into my head when you were talking about planning these long trips is, and it's probably it feels like a silly question, but I'm interested to know the answer. How far off is a Google Maps time to like what it actually takes to do? Yeah, it sounds like a silly question, but like I presume you know the answer.
No, but it's precise. It's precise. But you cannot like Google knows. Like if you put in North Cape to Cape Agulhas, Cape Agulhas is the most southern point of that. It says it's not possible.
Ah, interesting.
So they like yeah. So because for instance at that time at least Syria was not
Yeah.
enterable. So but you break it up into smaller roads and sometimes Google say this border is not open
Yeah.
because it takes the real time and if with time difference and whatever it's so you cannot just do this long one. But Google is precise. Like we run with a Garmin not to navigate after it, but to actually document trip also.
Okay.
And I borrowed that Garmin to a friend of mine when I came back. And it seems like it's adaptable. It's kind of when it's predicting the time, it knows how it's been driving.
Oh,
And he was
okay.
coming back to me and say, "Hell, like the estimated time of arrival is impossible. Like how, what is wrong with this?" And then after that, I've actually never had time to check it, but it seems like it's kind of looking at
Yeah,
how you
your
were
history.
driving, your history. So it because at least he said he struggled
Yeah.
to meet the ETAs.
60 miles, 30 minutes, you know, that sort of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But and that is important to say. We are not racing. It's not a gumball. We've got one speed ticket in 50,000 miles.
Yeah.
That was in Canada because we we were like 9 miles over the speed limit because we
Yeah.
oversaw a sign. In Russia, it's different because the police are not really paid. They live from corruption.
Okay.
So they stop you. Like in Kazakhstan, I was once stopped for driving too slow.
Okay.
Like, and he said the speed limit was 100 mph miles
100
per hour.
mph.
And it's like 160 kilometers. Like that's kind of very few
fast.
countries are quite fast. I said, yeah, but sorry, I was driving 100 kilometers now, 60. Yeah, then it's just not too fast. Sorry, it's not fast enough. Like what? And then we were stopped every 20 kilometers because they realized that okay, here are guys with money, so let's just empty them. And at the end, we could see that we wouldn't get to the end of the Kazakhstan with the money we had with us.
The money.
But I had two South Africans, and they had some rand, which is 1/16 of a dollar.
Okay, yeah.
So we then were stopped and we started giving them rand and telling them it was pounds. So they were
Nice.
super happy until they got to the bank and realized they didn't get. So yeah. So no. So as I say, it's an adventure, and with the travel, like with the adventure agency I have, it's many are saying, but you're just rushing through beautiful areas with no time to
Yeah.
experience it. But to be honest, I see it differently. I see areas that I say here I really want to go back to, and then I can go back to that and discover that area in more detail. But I also see areas where I know I do not
Yeah.
need to go back there. Like even I would not send a dog there. So for me, it's I visited 138 countries and keep counting. And I'm not, let's say, ticking the box, but I have some countries that I would like to go and visit, and I like to do it in a car.
Yeah. Yeah, that is quite interesting because actually a huge part of it is when you go there, you can see, you get a feeling for what it's like, even if you're only there for 20 minutes. I've done a few gumballs, which is a very sort of different thing, but as a photographer and things. And like you get to the end of the week, which must feel like a tiny amount of miles. Like even 3,000 miles in a week for me was like a lot. But you kind of got to the end and you were like, oh yeah, I went to all of these places, but like, I don't really remember being there. And you kind of go, oh, okay, I've sort of ticked it. Maybe I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't have. I think a large part of driving is you would never choose to stop in the places that are in the middle somewhere. Often you're like, you would do. I'm not going to name and shame some places, but in between your start point and your finish point are places that you would never choose to go, but because you're driving, you'd go there. So I guess with those cars, you've got a big fuel tank. So are you still doing a calculation on roughly an average MPG and roughly when you'll fill up, or it doesn't really matter because you've got such a big tank?
It's like you can't do 2,000 miles without stopping. So it's impossible. Like I think the longest we did in kilometers, 2,800 within 2,880 within 24 hours, which is about 2,000 miles. No, 1,600 miles within a 24-hour period.
1,740. That's just disgusting. That's so far.
Yeah, that's quite far in an SUV weighing 3.5 tons. And we also, for instance, we see tire temperatures that are not really happy because that was on that road in Russia because it was smooth as a pancake.
Yeah.
But then every, let's say, 50 or 100 kilometers, there was suddenly a dip or there was a place where there was something missing in the road. So we had to be so alert and we got airborne a few times. But there were no signs. There were no speed limits, we thought. At least we explained ourselves. So when there are no signs, nobody tells you how fast you can go. So you can go as fast as you want. We decided. So
and for in that sort of theoretical situation, whether it's like autobahn or middle of nowhere, no signs, and there's lots of places in Australia that literally have no speed limits. What speed do you pick?
Even 100 mile per hour is too much.
Yeah.
Like so it's kind of a risk calculation.
Yeah.
It's a safety calculation. Through towns, we just follow traffic.
Yeah.
Because you have animals and people running across and everything. If it's, I would say maybe 80, 90 miles an hour is kind of a nice cruising speed on a good road.
Yeah.
When you start going much faster than this, the risk simply multiplies in a way that is not worth it. And as I say, in civilization, we more or less follow the rules and regulations. The mile MPG, mile per gallon, is we did, for instance, Canada, we only did 2 stops across Canada, and we were truck surfing because we knew we couldn't speed. So we ran 7-bar tire pressures. We had much less equipment than normally, so we made the car super light. I had a journalist in the team that was placed by a Porsche importer, and we exceeded the manufacturer described miles per gallon with more than 35%.
Oh, nice.
Because we were running super efficient. Because
Behind, yeah.
we couldn't speed, so we could only take away the stopping time.
Yeah.
Like that was the only way we could do it. And we had two ferries. We had a ferry from Vancouver Island to let's say mainland to Vancouver, and then from mainland to Newfoundland. And that was the tricky point, because there you have to calculate backwards, because
Yeah.
that goes every second day. So it's kind of your bum, you're blowing it. And I think we came there about 30 minutes before
Wow.
time plan. Yeah, but and you need to calculate that all the way from your
Yeah.
starting time. So it's a bit, let's say, nerdy stuff,
Yeah.
but it's kind of fun.
It's part of the thing. I've had that on a small level of, I've been skiing in the French Alps or something, and we're driving back to the UK, and we're trying to book our Channel Tunnel train, but it's 10 hours down the road, and you're like, you don't want to arrive too early. You don't want to be there for 2 hours, but you don't want to miss it.
No, exactly. And that is that shows you have a competitive gene that you can actually get excited about this. I have exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Really like nerdy on it, but like I want to get it right.
Yeah.
With the we should definitely move on soon. But the with the Cayennes, I know I remember someone telling me a while ago when I went and did like an experience a Cayenne day, or it was McCann or something. We were doing a bit of off-roading and whatever. And one of the guys running it was saying that he had an old Cayenne that he did a lot of off-roading in. And he was like, no, yeah, but they're really good at it, and people buy them to do that. And in my head, I just went, really? Like, no. People buy Cayennes to drive around London. Like, that's what people use Cayennes for. But in your experience, how does the Cayenne rate compared to other sort of, I would guess, like popular options for that sort of thing?
So you have 3 generations of Cayennes.
Yeah.
To make it easy, they're called E1, E2, and E3.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, we have the E3 facelift. Mine is an E2.
Yeah.
Pre-facelift, 2011. It's done 200,000 kilometers, and all of them on funny roads. It's I think the only Cayenne that has been on 5 continents. So the E1 was 2,800 kilos, absolutely over-engineered masterpiece, and is very capable.
Right.
It has center differential lock. You can have the option of rear differential lock. It has a lot of tricks with air suspension and stuff like that. Very capable, but very heavy. Then the E2 was when VW took over in a way. So it was more of a X5 type car, but still better than an X5. The E3 is basically just a London car. Like that is an estate in all regards. But it lost 700 kilos from the E1 to the E3, because when the E1 was built, nobody cared about fuel consumption or CO2s or anything. So an E1, like I built an E1 where I've taken out 600 kilos and put different tires and different shock absorbers and stuff like that. It is very capable, very, very, very capable. If you give a Defender to an inexperienced off-road driver, the person will get over more obstacles in a Cayenne, because there's so much electronics helping you. If you give it to an off-road specialist, the Defender will get further, like old Defender.
Yeah.
But I believe Toyota is kind of a class of its own when it comes to reliability. Yes, but much more importantly, in Africa, there's Toyota spare parts everywhere, and there are no Porsche spare parts anywhere. But I chose the Cayenne. Let's say, not that I was sitting doing a matrix, but in my head I did a matrix on comfort, performance, reliability, capability, space, and would a Land Cruiser have been a better option? Yeah, but I just hate them.
Fair enough.
I hate Toyota. They don't know how to break down. They are so boring. They have no personality. It's just not my thing. But anyway, so yes, the answer is an older Cayenne is surprisingly capable
Yeah.
because it was mega over-engineered.
Mm. Interesting. And I guess my final point on that one is, okay, a Toyota would probably be the choice. As you say, you can get parts and they're super reliable, etc. By then choosing a Cayenne and having a lot less access to parts, one, did you have to deal with a lot of minor breakdowny type stuff? And did you carry, what did you carry with you in case? Or did you carry anything?
So you should only carry what you need. The car is maintained well because preparation is a big part of it. I've even done the Intercontinental Dakar Rally with my Cayenne.
Okay.
So I've driven from Paris to Dakar.
Nice.
I broke one part, and that was the only part I had with me as a spare, and that was the radiator in front.
Oh.
Even though I freaking smacked into a mountain because it was either this or flying over a 100-meter cliff. So I chose the mountain, and I could get the car going again. No, actually, I didn't even break the radiator there. There, I found a truck, and then I put, because the whole front was pushed in. So I found a big truck, and then I took these big cargo straps you used to pull out with.
Yeah.
I connected that to the truck, and then I just started reversing and to kind of stretch out the car again to get it out in space. And then later on, some days later, we had a stage where there was a lot of small dunes, and it kept smacking the front of the car into the ground, and then the radiator cracked at the bottom because I made a stupid reinforcement there. But I won overall. I was the fastest car on the second last stage, and I won the last stage, which is this 138 kilometers on the beach down to Dakar. I beat the motorbikes, I beat the side by sides, I beat the T1s, the T2s, because I was like, okay, either win or die. So I was just absolutely freaking like doing 200 kilometers an hour on the beach, and you basically follow the waves because the sand gets too soft where it's dry,
right?
and
okay.
it's kind of hard where
so you
wet.
go like
so you follow
left and right.
Yes, you follow the waves, and then you have these washouts once in a while. It's like, okay, just take them head on. Like, we are so close to the finish line, so either so we won the last stage.
Nice. So at what point in time did you start getting involved with off-road 911s and start thinking, I'm gonna start building some cars and selling them?
So for many years I was working for Porsche and doing a lot of winter trainings for them, and it all got too corporate, and yeah, so I decided to do my own, and I was looking at what cars have the least depreciation, because you can't compete on the modern cars because the manufacturers just throw marketing money into them. So I realized that buying 964s and 993s at that time was a good thing because they were half the price of now. So kind of that was how I got into making those. And then I realized that I suddenly had, I think, 5 of them, and they were just standing for 11 months of the year. So maybe I can relatively easily, because I did a lot of underbody protection and stuff. Basically, the experience from the Cayenne I put onto them, and that worked really well at winter. And then looking, okay, I actually have a Cayenne and I have 5 911s. Maybe somebody wants to go on dusty drives on them, and so it all, let's say, just evolved this way. There's so much, especially in America, what I call bolt-on horsepower, which never worked. Like, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work. Like, it looks good and it's all fantastic, but it doesn't help you when you're standing in the Simpson Desert in Australia or somewhere. It doesn't help that there was someone who thought it was a good idea to use a 8mm bolt to hold the whole car. So I kind of tried to jump the fence a few times and realized that every time you do it, you lose. There's just no way around it. So it was in a way forced to do it right, because when you're standing in the middle of nowhere, nobody will come and help you.
Yeah.
So I do believe that I see so many, because this trend has gone I think maybe I was a little bit ahead of the trend, in the sense that the last 3-4 years Cayenne off-road has bloomed. Yeah. But I did mine in 2011, or 2011 is. And the same thing with the Safari 911s that also bloomed big time. So I've spent 5, 6, 7 years testing, really hardcore testing, because we have this hashtag called "we test in public." Like when a customer pays 30, 40, 50 or 100,000 for a seat in a car, we should bloody finish.
Yes.
And that means it's not enough that it looks good, it also needs to work well. And when we did the Trans Andes, which was these 11,000 kilometers, we started 11 cars. And we finished 11 cars. And there was this era rally. I think they started 60 cars, and at the same time, by coincidence, they had a rally at the same time and more or less the same distance. I think they started 60 cars and only 18 finished. Yes, we did have a car rolling over, but that's just a matter of smacking it back and then keep going. Yes, we did have to do a full engine rebuild because the air filter fell off in a desert, which is not really a great thing. But at the end of the day, it's fight to survive and see the finish point. Giving up is not an option.
Yeah. And what would you say so these 993 and 964 builds,
we have also 996 and Cayman now.
Oh yeah, and 996. And yeah, Cayman. I've seen some of the Caymans. What's the sort of the main sort of ethos, or what are you trying to achieve with those builds? Like maybe what can they do, or what's your angle?
I'm still to find out what they can't do in a way. We had a group of Americans where 4 of them did the Baja.
Okay.
And they sit in the middle of a really terrible road, climbing up some Alps crossings. They said, Jan, we were just talking here. But okay, yeah, anything? Yeah. We have done Baja. Mm-hmm. We know how terrible roads can be. Mm-hmm. You give us your cars and ask us to go over roads that are worse than we have ever done when we have done the Baja. Are you sane or insane? And well, I think somewhere in between is maybe the right word. So it is incredible what those cars can do. I really mean it. I'm still looking to see, okay, where we can't go. Of course, we were just in Morocco. And one of the we do all our drives. I'm very competitive, and we do all our drives as small rallies, not who can go the fastest, but who can go most precise. And then there are different challenges. And one was who can get the highest altitude rating over a sand dune.
Okay.
Which means everybody got stuck. We had 911 Porsches spread over the whole desert because they were basically trying to get to the top. So of course we can just make challenges so that they fail, but we are there to help them, and then they come down again. It's always easy to drive down a dune. It's more difficult to drive up a dune.
Yeah. So it seems adventure. It ties in with all these trips that you organize, going to cool places, driving cars, big distances, challenges, and these are the tools to do that. I was having a look because you have a variety, some, I think just the 797 classic that looks a bit more like a sort of conventional thing, and then all the way up to the RSR, which doesn't stand for Rennsport, stands for something else. What's it stand for?
Special Radical.
Yeah, rally special radical. There's
And this car, like these cars we're using, like the classic, the 797 classic, we don't you that would be shameful to do that.
yeah,
But the RSR is made exactly for this. Like this is the ultimate. But it's also, it's like 500,000 plus. So you must be very committed to
yeah,
trash that beautiful car over
yeah,
dunes everywhere. But we have customers doing that, and then we have what we have now called the Beyond Adventure Sapphire range, which are, let's say, less expensive builds where we don't totally restore the car, but it's basically a kit which has different shock absorbers, underbody protection, different rims, different tires, la la la.
okay,
That we can stick on to that, and that's what we have done with our own cars, and we found a lot of small things that is needed, and that was what I wanted to say. I see so many of these new Sapphire builds, and I go under the car and I say, good luck. Uh, you are still quite a bit away from the target because you have positive camber, you haven't changed the spring plates, you have la 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 la, like your car is a death trap and it will break down as soon
yeah,
as you see any ground or gravel or sand. Um, but I like the trend. I like the way that things are moving forward in that area, and I think the track day scene is becoming a dinosaur
mm,
because of noise, because of people have done it. I'm a huge fan of endurance racing. Le Mans is the biggest thing on the racing calendar for me. But I always say try to explain an alien what we are doing.
yeah,
We consider ourselves as relatively intelligent creatures, and then we drive around in a circle, coming back to the same point we were just 3 minutes and 27 seconds ago. We feel like big bloody heroes,
yeah,
but we have moved nowhere. But during that 3 minutes, we've spent 20, 30,000 euro because that's what it costs to run an LMP car
yeah,
one lap at Le Mans when you take everything into consideration. So shall we just downgrade ourselves from intelligent human beings to absolutely stupid? Yeah. So I like endurance racing. I think track day, it's becoming a penis measuring thing, like who has the biggest, who has the fastest.
yeah,
But see so many people that can afford incredibly fantastic cars, but they don't know how to drive them. Then better start in a Clio or something, and go to the max of that car, because you can't take the modern hypercars to the limit, because very few people can do that. Like, who
yeah,
can take a Aston Valkyrie to the limit?
yeah,
Like, only the 20 odd people that drove at Monza 2 days ago.
yeah, yeah. And it seems like I like driving on track. I like racing. Um, I'm also aware that it sort of is what it is. It's you've got a circuit, and the skill you develop. Yes, the people at the top are unbelievable, but it's a really specific skill. It's the ability to do the fastest around a circuit, which is a really like you have to learn that particular skill of optimizing a circuit in a car. Um, Whereas I can see, like, as soon as you, quite a few people I know, um, and have met through social media and stuff, have sort of done a bit of a journey of they did some GT, come from a wealthy background or made a lot of money, and they did some track days. Then they ended up doing some GT racing, and then maybe ended up doing some LMP racing or something. And then they all seem to, a lot of them seem to have found off road and driving 911s off road fast or whatever, and those sorts of more adventure stuff. They seem to, lots of people seem to end up in that direction. And I guess it delivers a much more rich, open ended experience. It's different though.
It's also less competitive. There's also the evenings around the campfire that shall not be underestimated. Like even the Bioarcs at Dakar is kind of famous for of course the factory teams, they fly their drivers out to nice hotels or whatever because they have a job to do. but all the gentlemen, they having a great time in the bivouac, and that is a big part of the entire experience.
Yeah, totally. I like something I noticed with RestoMods. So I have, or had until quite recently, a backdated SC that was done by a company called Autofarm in the UK a while ago. And I've driven quite a lot of RestoMods. And one thing that I thought was a nice thing, and I think it's interesting that you now do these cheaper sort of kits and stuff for off-road vehicles, was I felt like I got a decent percentage of the experience of a RestoMod for, let's say, 100 grand. Like that's what you car's built by someone a few years ago. It's got a nice suspension, upgraded engine, whatever, a few changes, and you get a chunk of the experience, like a huge percentage of that, versus you could drive a car that's 750 grand and it's still an old 911. Okay, it's been through a crazy process. It's much more developed. The specs are much higher on everything. But the experience, you're still doing the thing. You're still driving an old 911 somewhere, having fun, and it's been like sort of messed with a little bit. And I guess with the Safari stuff, if you can make something more affordably available to go off-road, it allows you to do off-roading in that experience without having to have spent all of the money.
I agree. I think everybody knows it's always the last percent which is the hardest percent.
Absolutely.
Just to come back to when I did the 797 project, my target was to make a classic looking car drive like a modern car.
Okay.
Because I believe that the generation, let's say our generation and older, have all at some stage dreamt of a 911.
Yeah.
And they buy one and they realize a classic one, an original one, and realize how terrible it is. Because it is really terrible. Like a Golf is so much better, so much comfortable, even faster, and la 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 la. And that was what I wanted to change. So I wanted to take the design from yesterday and the technology from today, where a lot of the big retro backdaters, they are predominantly focusing on the looks.
Yeah.
And I think that is maybe what sets us apart from many others, not all others, but many others, is that it is the technical side of things that is the driver. We are declared nerds.
Yeah.
Our marketing team is informed. Please sell us as declared nerds. We are not Porsche. We are not any of this. We are declared nerds. So when you say you had 100 grand SC, if a frog is born in a cow stable, it is still a frog. It's not a cow. And at 100 grand, I just know that you have a very nice car, which you would most likely not take if you were to drive 1,000 miles, because you would get but you are then oddball.
I'm oddball, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. But there's so much more comfortable alternatives.
Yes.
There are convenient alternatives, and our 797 is made for the guy. And I'm sorry if I step on anyone's toes. I'm very good at that. For the guy with a big bank account who wants the classic looks but the modern facilities.
Yeah.
So if we just put that aside for a second, with our Beyond Adventure range, it's completely different. If a car is leaking oil when it comes in, it's also leaking oil when it goes out, because I'm not restoring the car unless they ask me to.
Yeah.
But I will take whatever they bring and make it possible and capable of going over bumps that it is not when it comes to us.
Yeah.
And 100 grand, yes. What does a 964, 993 cost today? They cost 50, 60,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And if we then charge, let's say, around 40 plus tax for our upgrade, well, then you are at 100 grand. but your backdated SC was most likely also fixed, so it didn't have any oil leaks and everything. And that's don't kill, let's say, the messenger in this case, because I'm not the one who have changed the market value of the donor car.
Oh no.
And for 30,000, 40,000, we're the only idiots that has developed a suspension which was very expensive to develop, supplied, do subframe drops, do different spring plates, have found a really smart way of making rims in the right dimension to fit the car, having done better lights, having done which is in that package. So we actually earn close to nothing on our Safari kits. But I will never send parts as a kit out because, again, stepping on Porsche specialist toes, a 964-993 was built within 5 millimeter tolerance. Back then, it was more than okay.
Yeah.
That means you can have a 964 which is 10 millimeter longer than the other one, but they're both within tolerance.
Yeah.
So when I send an underbody protection and the holes are 10 millimeters off, who has sent the shit?
Yeah.
Me. Will anyone raise their hand and say my donor car is crooked like a banana?
I've
Nobody.
measured it, yeah.
Exactly. So therefore I can only lose. So I say I will build you a correct?
Yeah.
A less expensive kit, a build for you, but I do it because I drill the holes according to your crooked 964 993. And that is the thing where, as I said, the Americans bolt on horsepower. Like, just, we send you upgrades for this and this and this and this, and it fits. No, it doesn't fit. Yeah, but just do a bigger hole. Yeah, but if I do a bigger hole, I lose all the strength. But then do something else. Yeah, okay. You know what? I do it myself.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's almost a philanthropical approach to the adventure range that we have, which is, let's get more people out there and enjoy the dunes. And that is why I made the 996, because you have, instead of 60,000, you have 30 or 20,000 donor car. The conversion cost the same. The car is absolutely capable. Then I was offered a super cheap Cayman, and I was like, okay, Caymans are just, nobody wants a Cayman. Let's just say this. It's a little bit harsh, but that's the reality. So let's do a Cayman, because the donor car is cheaper. Again, the shock absorbers cost the same, the rims cost the same. So therefore, I was looking for a cheap, like the least expensive donor car, and in 5 minutes you can get a Cayman for 10,000. What a cool off-roader you can have driving around in London in a Cayman lifted with roof rack on the back. Like, you need, even if you park it next to a GT3 RS 992, you will be on top of the hill. I'm sorry, like, there's so many, if you go into Chelsea or Knightsbridge, they're parked everywhere. But when you come in your Safari Cayman that has costed you 30, 40 grand, you are the coolest guy in town. So therefore, that is the let's say the movement behind this, and then I just, like, if you want to build a classic, like, go to, there are some super good, like I my grandmother said, if you cannot say anything nice about people, you shouldn't say anything. But Tothill, they make super nice cars, but they are race cars.
Yeah.
And I admire what they're doing, and I believe that our cars would not survive what his cars are doing. But our, let's say, marketplace is, we want an air conditioner.
Yeah.
We want a fridge. We have fridges in the back of our cars.
Do you?
Like a real fridge, so that you can, in 46 degrees in Sudan, you can get a 5-degree cold Coke. I think the value of a cold Coke in 46 degrees in Sudan exceeds the value of the car. Like, the perceived value. If you ask a guy who has $2 billion on his account, how much you want to pay for cold Coke, there is no limit.
Yeah.
Like, It's not that we blackmail and say, you want this or
yeah.
not. No, but it's just so it's just two different directions. And I have the utmost respect for what Todd Hill does, because he has also a technical approach to things. He's doing a hell of a job. I didn't know he existed until quite far down our road, and it was interesting because he do winter training, he do rallies, he do back dates, and so, oh shit, we're actually doing the same, and Richard and I are in good contact. So I think, and at least I hope it's mutual, but I have respect for what he's doing, because it's not just bolt on horsepower or stickers and make it look white or fit fat tires. Like, you don't want fat tires. Like, I get almost an allergic reaction when I see the Americans fit these big knobby tires on a Cayenne. Like, where is the Porsche DNA? A Porsche drives well. It is impossible to make a car drive well on big knobby tires.
Yeah.
Then buy a Land Cruiser or buy a Wrangler or a Defender. They drive like shit when you start, and they will just drive a little bit worse when you finish. But to destroy a Cayenne, which is capable of doing 250 kilometers on a German highway, if you do that with knobby tires, it is one of the last things you experience in your life. So therefore, the perfect car has never and will never be built. There is not a car that can go 400 kilometers an hour, can go to Dakar, can do it. Doesn't. So either in engineering, expect a compromise or several cars. But when that's said, with our 797, with our 9X9 that we just launched at Quail, we are trying with adaptability to create a modern feel in a classic look. So if we take the 797, we have adaptive suspension like PASM on a Porsche. So adaptive valving. We have front axle lift. We have even rain sensor. We have active subwoofer under the seat. We have a comfort indicator so that you click one time and it makes 3 blinks. All these things you've gone used to in a modern car. And yes, do we take away some of the charm of a classic car? If you go running, do you put your shoelaces together left to right so it becomes more difficult to run just to say, but in former times you didn't have nice shoes? No, you didn't. Like, so why not? Like, one of our customers, he was standing at a gasoline station refilling his car, and he's about 50, and an older gentleman come up to him and said, "What a nicely restored classic 911 you have there. Very nice. I remember someone had this car 30, 40 years ago." And our customer said, "Thank you very much," and smiled and knew that this was carbon fiber, ceramic brakes, 400 horsepower, traction control, drive-by-wire, all of these things. But he didn't need to. The guy just saw, wow, what a nice classic car. So I think this is the philosophy that we have chosen, and there are others that has chosen a different route. We build our car super light, like we are at 1150 kilos wet, like with air condition and with the things I mentioned. And we have engines doing more than 400 horsepower for normally aspirated boxer engines, with catalytic converters and with air filters, no tricks, no nothing. We try to keep the classic image, but make it as convenient as possible. I took one of the 797 prototypes, and I said, let's drive 7,000 kilometers in 7 days in 7 countries. Just as a. And the team said, okay, and they started packing a toolbox. And I said, and what is this for? Yeah, if something happens. I said, okay, if I need a toolbox, we haven't done our work well. So you kindly take that out, and then we see how it goes. So I did 7,000 kilometers in 7 days in 7 countries. What I changed, let's say, the first thing I changed was the exhaust, because I have a bit of tinnitus, which is a part of my balance system. I had a lot of tinnitus when I came back. So the idea of making a convenient car, no. So I had to change the exhaust, which we now have under control, and we are super silent. if somebody wants more sound, I can drill a hole in the exhaust. Like, congratulations. Like, no, but it's easier to go that way than the other way.
Yeah. You don't just want that down the motorway.
Exactly. And then I was driving in Germany, of course, on a piece of road with no speed limits, and it was August, and it was a relatively cold summer night. So I was thinking, maybe it's time to find out. And this was the lowest engine spec, 313 horsepower on our first generation car. And it was 5-speed. It was based on a 964. And I said, okay, fuck it. Let's put telephone up on the dash, put my app with GPS speed. Oh, I was like 250, 260, 270, 280. Oh, cool, 290. Wow. 295. And then like in Europe, like the 300 is a number. I'm sorry, but like you remember that the Testarossa did 300. I know now that it's Italy, so it maybe did only 280. But anyway, they set to the 300. So it was like when you were playing these cards, it was like you put it on the table and it cleaned the table. Remember, I'm 50. And so it was 295, 298, and then, okay, 299, maybe I have a car with my name on the back that does 300. So 300, I broke the 300, 31, 32, 33, 34, and it stopped at 34. I was the happiest person on the planet, and in pure happiness, I released the throttle. And then I was going sideways with 304 kilometers an hour because the car just started like overtaking itself, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be hard. Luckily, I had 3 lanes, so it was like full, and then back and started like fishtailing on the autobahn. So got it under control, and like the heart was ticking because there's no, like, you are dead. Like, there's no way. It's like smile, dead. Like, absolute. There's no way to survive that. Like, I have crashed with 300, and that was in a better car. So, and then I kind of got my adrenaline down to, let's say, 50-50 between blood and adrenaline. And I was like, what went wrong there? Because it was not mechanical, which leaves only one thing, and that was aerodynamical. So like processing all of this, and when you've been track racing, you know that when you have these experiences, you start thinking very fast, and things start happening in slow motion. So I was like starting to feel, what did the car do? How did it settle? How did it lift? How did it? And I recall it was in a long left, like very open, but slightly left bend, and the rear end just started going to the right, and I was like, aero. And then the logic was, okay, I've created a car, the team has created a car that has the same shape as Porsche did in 1964 and had 110 horsepower.
Yeah.
They didn't look at speeds at 300. So it's like, shit, this is problematic. Like, this is really. So called our aerodynamical partner and said, listen, we need to redesign this car. Like, because there's an issue. Like, it's how often do you go 300 on Classic 911? Not every day.
But could.
You could. And that's why we beside the little change in the exhaust, it was also a full redesign of the car. And the car that we showed, the full electric car that we showed in at Goodwood this year, is the facelift of our cars, and nobody will see the difference. Like, nobody will see. Yes, the front is different, but we can still run the old front. But it has been changed in absolutely every little corner, shape, and form. This one has a ducktail, so there you have more. We prefer to sell cars with ducktail of the old bodywork, because what happened is that a 911 has a lot of lift in the rear, and it has some downforce in the front. You can see it on that image there. And the faster you go, the aero has, like, it just keeps going up and up and up. So you don't feel at 250 kilometers an hour. It's all neutral because you have 400 kilos of engine and gearbox in the back. But at some stage, the lift in the rear exceeds the weight in the rear. So I was basically running on the front tires when that happened. Like so all of this, and we have had to adjust the ride height. So our rake is different than all the other ones, because this is how we control also a part of the aero. We have changed the air scoops for the brakes to guide the air in a different way. We have fitted a different floor under the front subframe, which then defaults back to, yes, we are the nerds. Like, yeah. And I want to tell this story. I'd rather sell one car less, but to a person that is actually interested in what the person is buying. As you and maybe whoever decide to listen to this has heard now, I have a lot on my mind. Like I have a lot on my heart, and I'd rather make sure that the customer understand that this creation is a personal creation that takes all the experience that my team has gathered over generations and put into something which is unique for the customer. And that then goes back to this philosophy of I want that we become not only known as the nerds, but also as modern coach builders, so that we sign with every customer that their car is unique. All the cars are one-off. We will never produce two identical cars. Yes, is it the same wishbones? Is it the same drive shaft? And yes, these things we don't touch because they know they work. But all the small details, like we interview our customer on how the customer would like the power delivery. That means, how do we design a camshaft? We design camshaft for the customer. We engrave the name of the customer on the camshaft, so that he say, I had a guy yesterday from America. He said, no, I don't care about so and so many horsepower. I want torque. I want low end power because I don't like to hear this. Okay, well, we have this camshaft that loses 15 horsepower on the top, but it gains you. It's like a turbo diesel.
Yeah,
perfect. I like it. That's what I want. So I try this. We try this modern coach building, because in the good old days you went to Bentley or Rolls-Royce and you bought a chassis, and then you send it to a coach builder that said, oh, you want 6 doors or 3 doors or 4 doors or high hat or low hat. That's actually what I feel has gone missing a little bit, together with or analog with a Cayman for 40 grand or a 300,000 GT3 RS 992. Our customers do not buy cars as means of transportation. They buy car because they want it to reflect their personality, their ideology, their whatever mood even, and therefore we go to extreme measures to do this. Like the customer signature is in the rev counter on their car, so that they never forgot who built this car, who chose this. And after the first 2 prototypes of the 797, I was not happy with the product, because I really set out this mission to make a modern feel or contemporary feel, I guess it's called, in a classic look. But back to the story about a frog born in a cow stable is still a frog. A 964 is an old Porsche, and 993 is a modern Porsche. Because the 993 is the first car with a multi-link rear axle, which is straight carryover to 996 that everybody recognizes as a modern Porsche because of the engine. But the only difference between a 993 and a 964, beside the looks, is that it is water cooled or air cooled. The 996 is a little bit larger, a little bit heavier, but the whole infrastructure, front suspension, rear suspension, is more or less identical. And then the 997 is then starting to be a real modern Porsche, and it also have like a sister of the 993 multi-link rear axle, and up until like from the 959 in 86 to 2020 with the 992 GT3, they all had McPherson front suspensions. It was 959 and and the GT3 that had a double wishbone front end suspension. So the real difference for me lies in the rear axle. The rear axle on a 964, sit tight, it was developed in 1932.
Yeah.
1932. So when people say, wow, this is the best in the world, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Please don't tell me that the world has not been turning around a few times since 1932. It was introduced on a Mercedes in 1932. Then the small painter from Austria, he developed the Beetle for Hitler. He asked Porsche to develop the car for him, and that was where it came into the Volkswagen Group, the trailing arm. And it was all the way until 93 or whenever the 993 came, that the rear trailing arm was kind of identifying the rear end of the car. And trust me, Porsche only change things when they're absolutely forced to do it. And they were at the limit of the capabilities of that car. So for me, after having driven a lot, 20, 40,000 kilometers, 40,000 kilometers on the various prototypes, I couldn't, with the help of the best shock absorber companies in the world, I couldn't get the car to drive how I wanted it to drive. And it's very important. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I wanted something different. So as a newly started company, having put all your eggs in one basket, realizing that was the wrong basket was not a nice thing to discover and have to go to the 993 chassis. So we went to the 993 chassis. We did all the engineering so that the body panels would fit the 993. And when we did the first 993, that was like coming home for Christmas. Wow, this is what I'm looking for, because I have a compliant rear axle. It does what I want. Performance-wise, it's superior to the 964, but comfort-wise, it is superior. And that's where we have found ourselves working on 993s. Okay, then we have a 6-speed gearbox that you don't need to pay a lot of money extra for. That what many people have been doing lately on the backdated 964s. You have better air condition. You have a number of things, better wiper system that also a lot of money is invested to fit on some backdated cars. And then that all comes like, there you go.
In the 993, yeah.
In the 993 comes as standard. So we did this change, and I'm super happy and super proud that the team accepted the challenge and we did this. So we know the 993 in and out. And I honestly thought when we were done that we reached the finish line. And gosh, was I wrong. Because 2 years ago, we were invited to Goodwood to drive up the hill. And I drove out from the supercar paddock to the start line there. And there was a lot of, especially young kids saying, oh, pull their dads in the hand and said, this is and then a company from California, and pointed at my car. And I was like, in the beginning, I was proud. And then when I've heard it 20 times, I was like, no.
Yeah.
And because I don't like to show a prototype that in 3 years of being launched, for me, the best example was the SLR. It took 7 years from the first presentation until it was launched to the customers. I have decided we show cars when they're ready.
Yeah.
So at that moment, 2.5 years ago at Goodwood, I realized we need to do something completely different. And that was how the 9X9 was born. That I wanted to take our philosophy, in my opinion, to the max.
Yeah.
And the 9X9 is, of course, a major project for us. I'm sitting in Italy now where the engineering company sits who are doing the car. I dare to say it's a new class of cars because it's modern hypercar performance in a tribute look to, for me, one of the greatest sports cars of all time and one of the most groundbreaking sports cars of all time. It's not enough that it looks, it must also perform. And the car we tribute was double wishbone, so we had no way. We had to do double wishbone. It was a car that had very special rims, and they were made of magnesium because they were very light. Variable turbos in 1986. variable four-wheel drive in 1986, and remember this was before computers, so all controlled by valves and relays, height adjustable suspension, tire pressure control in 1986. Just imagine, like, so when we decided to do this tribute, okay, these things, they had to be there. And I saw that those things are actually now available in a 992. So we've basically picked from a 992 and then enhanced. So the 9X9, the center part of the car is a 993, fully space framed, double wishbone front end suspension, but push rod because we wanted to make it also working with four-wheel drive. We were insane on weight because I think the modern cars are simply getting overweight. Weight distribution, because this is, let's say, one of the fundamentals how a car behaves.
Yeah.
So by doing a push rod suspension, we could point the shock absorbers to the front, so they're actually lying, let's say, under the headlights or beside the headlights, all for weight distribution. Like the brake booster, the e-booster, the lift system, the active suspension system is all lying right in front of the luggage compartment in the front, meaning there's no luggage compartment in the front, all for weight distribution. So we managed to do a car with 930 horsepower, active four-wheel drive, variable turbos at under 1400 kilos, which is, I don't know, 300-400 kilos less than a 992 weighs today. And those who knows about performance and know that you can feel that you have a passenger in a car when you're on a track, well, then imagine that you have 8 passengers in the car, or 6 passengers, depending on how heavy they are. And then again, because the car that we tribute is such an iconic car, I felt we had to also bring something new. So we have 3D printed titanium calipers, which weighs half of what a casted caliper weighs. Do you need it? No, but you need it if you want to do it as light as we have done.
Yeah.
Like, so we have 3 different models. We have the turbo, which is based on a 992 turbo with, in our case, 930 horsepower, all-wheel drive and PDK. Then we have a Sport, which is based on the smaller 3-liter turbo with manual transmission, 650, 700 horsepower. And that is 1340 kilos. And then the Superlight, or Leichtbau as we call it, which is rear-wheel driven, normally aspirated, and it's only 1250 kilos, which is very light, as in very, very light. But the car produces almost 1500 kilo of downforce. And when you, let's say, look under the car, it's full LMP. Like, it is absolutely ground effect car, and to the extent that we had to introduce ride height adaptation during drive so that we could reduce the downforce. Like, so we basically push the car out of the to release a little bit of downforce, because otherwise we had some issues that were not entirely favorable for anyone. So it's again the nerdy stuff that takes over. But the car is for sale. Like, we can just started on Monday. We started the first car and can produce, because I think it's difficult to keep people warm for 3-4 years. Like, especially in this segment here. Like, they want to see, they want to buy, they want to drive, and they want to buy something else. And through this whole journey, maybe coming back to my background, I think my background is more network creation and finding the right teams than being able to make the engineering calculations needed to do these things. Like, the technical director of Danese Engineering, who has been responsible for the development of the 9X9, he was also responsible for Schumacher's F1 when he was at Ferrari, and did the FFXK and the 458 GT, 488 GT. So I'm super proud that this guy is looking at our car, and then I know it's not going to be far off when we start pushing it, because he knows what way the wind is blowing. And the same thing with the company doing the carbon, the aero, the rims, the brakes. It's nobody of the big OEMs produce cars. They assembly them. Like sorry, don't believe in, like, they do the chassis, like the body in white, and they do the engine block.
Yeah.
The rest,
Suppliers.
they have suppliers. And yeah, so that's what we are doing, and trying to push the boundary. And yes, there will be lap times on Nürburgring coming out. We know them, but let's see when we bring them out. But they are hypercar territory, and so for me, it's the car is also hypercar price. It's 2 million for the conversion. So it's not a giveaway. But the brake calipers are 50,000. So I mean.
The ingredients are expensive.
Yes, yeah, like having to develop shock absorber systems specifically for this car, doing adaptivity, change ride height, all of these things. It doesn't come cheap. But if you want to show performance and not just looks, you have to do it. It's an interesting journey where we are not famous enough, but maybe it's Danish that the one that lives hidden lives well in a way.
Yeah.
But it's kind of difficult that people need to search for you in in the commercial world. So that's why, let's say, let's be honest, that's the only way. It's also one of the reasons why I'm here. Like I have been told, Jan, you need to get out there because you actually have something to say, and it shouldn't take a detective to find your story. You
that's it, and it's something I found. Like I have spoken to lots of people that do make their own vehicles of varying sorts, and often before I've spoken to them, I don't really know anything about them. I know the product, I know the name of the brand, and a bit of history and whatever I can find out from the internet. But talking to the person for 1-2 hours or whatever, I come away with a much better understanding of like where it all comes from. Whether that's in, and that can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. But like everyone's different and they all have their own reasons. And I think the more people understand, like, let's say your story and why, and like your ethos and, you know, your nerdiness and like why you want to create what you want to create, then potential customers or people or anyone that's learning about it, they know a lot more about, they kind of, you get a much better picture.
But I also think it has to do with the world is turning faster and faster, and like Mercedes, they're more than 100 years old.
Yeah.
So when people say, why don't you do like Mercedes? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
They have 100 years tradition. Even the company in California, they are much older than we are. Todd Hill.
Yeah.
I'm super happy where we are, and I think maybe now is the time to tell that story, instead of a lot of the companies, they tell the story before they have the product.
Yeah. You want to be able to say, this is it. It's like, or at least this is a thing we've made. So with this, the 9X9, why did you choose a 993 base? Initially, I when I sort of loosely saw some pictures, I saw 992 and I thought it was based like a lot of 992. Yeah, why did you choose a 993 as the base? And also, presumably connecting 993 with a lot of 992 running gear and stuff, that must be quite a big headache.
A trip down memory lane is needed. The wheelbase of a 993 is identical to the car that we tribute.
Okay.
We then started doing simulations, because the 797 we built the good old style.
Yeah.
Took an angle grinder and started cutting and fixed problems along the way. This car here we created fully virtual before we started cutting.
Yeah.
So we built the car in 3 months, like the actual car.
Okay. Yeah.
but we spent 2 years making the drawings.
Right.
So when we started simulating the car, we could see that it was too aggressive. We had some, let's just say that we had a target of sub 7 minutes at Nürburgring.
Yeah.
It seems nearly impossible
Mm-hmm.
with such a short car
Okay.
to achieve this. So did I want to go 992? No, because then there are other players in the market that sticks on a 959 body kit on a 992.
Yep.
But it was not what we wanted, because then I couldn't get the weight targets right. I couldn't get the nimble car right. I couldn't get we couldn't get. So we made a compromise and extended the wheelbase with 45 millimeters, which was where we then started to see the performance that we needed to achieve our performance targets. But we were still significantly smaller than 992. We are 140 millimeters shorter than a 992 on wheelbase. So the car is super small. Then when you want to put all the running gear from a 992 into a much smaller car, the packaging guys, they were not happy. But it's like we managed, and that's why we need to go out and tell this story. And we need to park the car next to a 992 so people will realize, oh, it's a 3/4 size.
Yeah.
But again, this is just a part of the evolution of putting a new car in a new playing field, because there are other RestoModders doing 2 and 3 million euro conversions, let's say from 1.5 to 3. I am very happy to do a lap time, or to do a lap at Nürburgring, or to do a lap anywhere else against them, because performance wise, I am quite confident that we are in a good position there. But we have jumped the fence. But in Denmark, we say don't go over the river to get water. So the fact that we can take a super proven drivetrain, like the PDK on a turbo, is amazing. It takes 2,000 Newton a million times, and it's just say, don't you have more than this? Come on, give me more, give me more, give me more. An adaptive four-wheel drive system. What more do you want? Like, torque vectoring, an engine which is as strong as an ox. Like, we went light and 900. We have now an engine running on a dyno with 1,400 horsepower. There we need to go to E85 though, but still.
Yeah, it's doable.
Where we only went for different pistons and conrods. Like, we don't even open the engine to make 930 horsepower.
Yeah.
So yes, there are others that has done artistic work around the engine, but at least the numbers, I think we are quite in a good position. So it is a whole new, let's say, I think it's a new playing field. Actually, the only car that a little bit like it is this new Koenigsegg that kind of is a retro of their own car, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
That is the closest thing, in my opinion, to what we have done here, because I don't want a garage queen. Like, I want a car that can drive, and 8-speed PDK. That means you're doing 100 miles an hour at 2,200 RPMs and just instead of having something screaming behind you and can do, I don't know, 5,000 miles between service, and it costs a house.
Yeah.
That's I want it to be convenient, but then hyper performance. I think we will be very close to 2 seconds to 100, for instance.
Yeah.
Which is only electric cars.
Yeah.
That are more or less in that area. It's all down to tires. We struggle to get the right size for the tire that can do it.
Okay. Have you got a relatively versus, let's say, a 992? You got quite small wheels then.
We have 1920 and they are 2021. But on the four-wheel drive, you need a 5.4% split between front axle and rear axle on the rolling diameter.
Oh, okay.
We run actually Carrera GT tires on our car, which is 5.4, although it's not a four-wheel drive. but they only do them in. We only run Michelin on our tire on our cars. That's the only tire I like, or that's the tire I like the most. And they only do Cup 2. They don't do Cup 2R in that size, and it can be we need to do a Cup 2R to get down on lap time or on acceleration time. But it can be we will just do it, and then the front diff must take a little bit extra beating on a few runs. But we will see.
Yeah. Oh well, it sounds really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing it at some point. I'm aware we've nattered on for quite a long time, so I think it's a good time to do the 5 questions. We've definitely covered some of this particular one, but do you have a most memorable driving trip or journey or segment? I think we've done a bit of that, but
I've driven a little bit in a McLaren F1.
That nice.
Still the highlight. The best value for money is a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6 from a Mackinnon. Those are the memorable moments in cars. I don't mention my own cars because that's
different. If you could only drive one sports car and you've got some cheap thing on the side for practical duties, what would it be? F1, yeah.
McLaren F1.
Tick.
Sorry.
And you're not swayed by a T50, for example?
No, I haven't driven it, so I will tell you.
Yeah, fair.
I think I will soon, but I like he is goddamn cool. Like this guy, he's a genius, and with no comparison, the ultimate target.
Yeah,
like his cars are just
very, very cool.
Very, very cool. So I like that they're small things.
Yeah, they're tiny. What do you think is the most undervalued car at the moment? What should be worth more?
Mini Clubman.
Oh, okay.
Mini Countryman. Sorry, I just got one, and I'm super impressed with it.
Oh, right.
So I've never heard anyone talk nicely about it, but needed a shopping car, and that looked nice. So that's really from the garage at home.
Nice.
Most likely not what you expected. Undervalued on the higher end, like. I'm a sucker for F50. It's kind of an oddball because everybody's looking at F40s, but the F50 is a monster in its own respect.
And in America, the prices, and in the UK, they're just going.
Yeah. But I might go back to Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6 TME because. That car goes on rails. I had Yaris GR, and gosh, was it missing the 4th cylinder. I just hate the sound of a 3-cylinder, like a but it had some of the same
things,
feel to it, that you kind of point and shoot, and then it goes. But yeah, no, I undervalued car. BMW 320 diesel touring, because it just does everything and it doesn't take any fuel, and all the electric cars go and die. Like, I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Most interesting car to you at the moment? What could be technology, Googling, looking up?
The F1 is still very interesting to study. Carrera GT is number 2 on the list, because there are solutions that are just mind-boggling and very interesting. Maybe it's not fair not to mention Gordon's new cars, but they are still not out there, like in a way. I know that the first deliveries has taken place. I am Aston Martin Valkyrie, for instance. I piss my pants every time I see a person getting in and out of it, because it's so funny, because usually wealthy people are overweight, so they should come with a bucket of Vaseline. But I think people, how that car has been homologated is mystery bigger than creation of the world. But my goodness, is this car a monster. Like, don't just shut up and just look at it and see when some small manufacturers are saying that they can do whatever racetrack in this and this time, and like, sorry, look, if you really need what you really need, look there.
Yeah.
Just please, as a road car. So I can appreciate other people's work when you can see, like, when you see some of the solutions on those cars, you can just see how the engineers has been scratching their heads and say, homologation, yes, tow hook. I think we forgot that. I can maybe on this time say we forgot indicators in the front of the 9X9, as in we forgot them.
Yeah.
As in the guy doing the A-class surfacing, he said, what do you plan with the indicators in the front? Yeah. That is a really good question. Yeah, and I'm happy. And that was it was a trick so that we could see that you were worth your money. So sometimes you see that there's been someone from the homologation office knocking on somebody's door and say, we need this and this and this. So I really appreciate those engineering masterpieces.
Yeah, they're all very cool. Final question: 5-car garage, unlimited value. It's got to fit into your life. So if you need a daily, you have to drive one of these cars. What would you have?
McLaren F1 GTR, Cayenne GT in black, Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6, Cayenne E1 Turbo S diesel, like diesel S. Sorry, it's called diesel S. I think Russell built the Baja 911 from America because he has a really cool 911.
I've not seen this. What's his name? Sorry.
T.J. Russell Baja. If you Google that.
Oh. Let's have a little look. Oh, this looks pretty. This looks pretty cool.
I would like to do that. I just don't have time. so that's why it's easier. Yeah, that's why it's easier. Like, he's such a nice guy. He knows what he's doing. He's a one-man band, and that he's able to do this as a one-man band is just freaking amazing. Like, he's working his tits off to do this, and people totally underestimate this. This is not for fun. Like, this is really. This is really cool.
This is serious. That's pretty cool. People have a look at that. T.J. Russell, Baja. Right. Well, thanks very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
If people want to find you, where can they look?
JanKalmar.com is where the trips are. And we also do winter experiences, like winter trainings.
Cool.
So that's where I am. Also replying emails.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And hope to see you somewhere.
Yes, I will definitely come find you when I see your car somewhere nearby.
Cool. Good. Have a good day.
Cheers.